Following the World Cup in Brazil, CCTV had the chance to sit down and interview President Dilma Rousseff. She gave her views on several matters important to the country, as well as her thoughts on Brazil's future. For a closer look, Paulo Sotero joins us. He is the director of the Brazil Institute at the Wilson Center here in Washington, D.C. Paulo, welcome. We'd like to get your reaction to a few of the things President Rousseff had to say. Brazil hosted the BRICS summit at the conclusion of the World Cup. The big news out of it was the new development bank for BRICS countries. Let's take a listen to the president.
The
BRICS Bank is an alternative source of financing and an additional reserve of funds. It is extremely important because it is a signal to all BRIC countries that there is economic support if needed. BRICS is not a whim for any of us. The BRICS Bank is a response to the world we live in which power is distributed unevenly. BRIC countries have different histories, different cultures, different political processes, and have found a common ground and share one vision.
As the president mentions, the five countries have very different histories, very different geopolitical contexts, and their interests are not necessarily convergent. So there was a need to find something, some way to give real substance to BRICS. And the new development bank, I think, is a good first response. It will be based in Shanghai. The first president will come from India. There will be directors from all five countries. Having a new development bank with good leadership, an efficient staff, good projects, I think is potentially very, very good news.
In recent years, many Brazilians have risen out of poverty and are living a better life. Here's President Rousseff speaking about the Brazilian dream.
The Brazilian dream is a dream of prosperity. It is a dream, above all, that parents have, believing that the future of their children should be better than their own. We are 200 million Brazilians. In the last 11 years, we elevated 42 million Brazilians to the middle class and removed another 36 million out of extreme poverty. Today, Brazilians have new demands, new expectations, new concerns, and new goals.
This is very important in Brazil. Brazil is a country that has a very heavy load or legacy of slavery. Brazil had about 4.5 million slaves that came from Africa over 3.5 centuries. This is about half of all the slaves that came to the New World. And this has left Brazil with a very heavy legacy of inequality, of social inequality, economic inequality. And it has always been a dream in Brazil to address this issue so we could first integrate Brazil with Brazil itself, Brazilian society, that you become a more prosperous, but in a way in which prosperity is shared. I think Brazil's success in this process of transformation gives a lot of credibility to us as Brazilians, by example, tell other countries in similar circumstances how to approach problems that many, many developing countries have.
Paulo, President Rousseff is up for re-election in October. How would you describe the public sentiment at the moment? Is support for her still strong?
Elaine, we are in a moment of change regarding the outlook of the October presidential elections. It was clear before the World Cup that there was an enormous discontent in Brazil, although the president had important, very positive approval ratings, but there was this discontent detected in opinion polls. During the World Cup, that was kind of set aside. We enjoyed very much hosting the World Cup, but the fact is, once the World Cup was over, new polls revealed that the souring of the mood is back to Brazil. Dilma Rousseff although still favored to win the election, could have a very hard time doing it. Although, as I mentioned initially, President Dilma Rousseff is favored to win.
Paulo Sotero from the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C., thanks for your time and insight.
It was a pleasure to be with you again, Elaine.
Coming up.
A newspaper that helps children get out of poverty.
It makes me love humans more because I see them how they fight back in these conditions, but it makes me admire the human spirit. So I don't pity them, I admire them.
America's Now.